Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to the Having It All podcast, the show about what it takes to live an abundant, loving life. My name is Matthew Bivens, and each week I'm helping you get out of your head so that you can truly have it all. Let's do it. What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to the podcast. I am psyched for today's conversation. It's going to be very, very cool. We're talking about consistency today. And I know that's something that you can relate to, the struggle with being consistent, whether it's consistent on, hitting big goals in your life, big dreams that you have, or maybe even consistency on little things where you're like, why the heck can I not just do this regularly? I'm going to talk to you today about how you can overcome that struggle and how you can actually be more consistent in your life, because I know that when you are consistent on those things that you're telling yourself are really important, that you're going to start building some beautiful momentum and you're going to start gaining confidence and all sorts of other stuff. All sorts of magic happens when you're consistent, but it can be very, very hard when you're struggling with it. So I'm digging into that today, and it's going to be a really, really great conversation. So I wanted to address something before we kind of dig into the rest of the episode. A few weeks ago, I was talking about these different podcast themes that I was doing with balance and purpose, and I mentioned that the next theme was going to be sex and relationships. And if you were following along, you've noticed that for the past 3 or 4 episodes, I have not talked about sex and relationships. And don't worry, those episodes are coming. My intention is to get with Sarah, my awesome wife, and really dive deep onto some stuff. And we've just had trouble syncing up our schedules. That's really been it, just getting on the same page. And so those episodes are going to be coming. I am going to be doing some dedicated episodes around sex and relationships. Just give us some time, and all great things will come. So if you've got some questions and some feedback, this is a great time to send it to me. So if you've got questions about intimacy, about sex, about love, about relationships, about dating, about whatever, send them. And her and I will address them in an episode, or maybe even do an entire episode around it. So you can send all your suggestions to me in 2 spaces. You can go to Instagram, Matthew_Bivens, and you can just DM me. Or you can shoot me an email, mattcbivens@gmail.com, and shoot them my way. You can also go to my website. I have a contact page on my website, and you can drop suggestions there. So that's matthewbivens.com. And let me know, what do you want us to talk about when it comes to sex and relationships and all things under that umbrella. So let's flow on, because I got some really cool magic to share with you that is connected to the topic of today's episode. So my magic today is that this morning, actually, I was at the gym, and I go to the gym every morning. I work out with my coach and my trainer, and a great friend of mine. And so I was there, and we always do a warm-up run before we jump into our exercises. And so I was doing my warm-up run, and on my balance chart, which is that awesome tool that I use to help build trust in myself, help build my character and integrity, and do some healthy habits. On my balance chart, I have this run that I have on there for 1 time a week. It's a very challenging run. It's actually the highest level of difficulty on the balance chart. And what it is I take the treadmill and I put it on an 8 incline. So it's like really going uphill. And I jack up the speed to 9 miles an hour and I run, basically sprint for 3 minutes. So 8 incline, 9 miles an hour for 3 minutes. And what's interesting is when I put that on my balance chart, I thought, oh, that doesn't seem that bad, until I freaking did it, and it kicked my butt. It's a very, very challenging run. So back to this morning's play. I'm training, and I'm actually on the treadmill going through my warm-up, and it popped into my mind, hey, why don't you end this warm-up run with your very challenging balance chart run? It was like this little part of me just wanted to throw a little extra spice into my workout. And as soon as that idea popped in my head, I had this response like, why the heck did that idea just get in there? Because now I know I need to do it. Like, of course, I have to do this because I really don't want to. Like, I really don't want to do this. I'm already tired. It's morning. I'm already been on this treadmill for a while before doing my warm up. Last thing I want to do is crank up the difficulty to a 10 and sprint uphill for these last 3 minutes. This sounds terrible. But there's this part of me, man, when I get these little ideas of different things, like, I got to do it. So the magic was actually influencing myself to do it. Yeah, so at the end of my run, I just cranked it up to an 8, hit that thing up to 9 miles an hour, looked at my timer, and jumped on and went for it. And it was tough. I'll tell you, it was tough. That last minute and a half seemed to take forever. But I knew I was going to complete it. It was just like this locking in, this feeling of just locking in and being like, yeah, it's hard and it sucks. And of course I wanted to stop, but I'm not going to stop until I'm complete. And I literally was feeling the impact of me influencing myself. Like, I was feeling the magic as I was on the treadmill. I was literally telling myself, like, yo, dude, that's what's up. That's how you show up. That's powerful right there. That's beast mode. I was affirming myself in that way as I was sprinting up that hill, because I know how important it is to do things that are difficult. It is so important in life that we do things that are difficult. And this is going to connect with today's conversation about consistency. So that's my magic. If you feel inspired, I invite you to pause the episode right now and think about some magic in your life. When have you influenced yourself, others, or life in an empowering way? It can be big magic or small magic. It all counts. It all matters. So take a moment right now, pause the episode, think of your magic, and we're going to move on to some listener love. I got so much love to share today. This one goes out to Bethany on Instagram. And Bethany, first of all, thank you for listening to the podcast, for choosing to hang out in the energy of this conversation about living an abundant, loving life. The more folks that we have who are tuning in and really connecting with the ethos of this podcast, the more that the world is flooded with abundance and love, and people really living in their purpose and pouring into other people and lifting the entire world up. And I know that's possible. That's what I'm playing for. So Bethany, thank you for choosing that mission for your life. It's totally amazing. And thanks for jumping on Instagram and shooting me a note. It's freaking awesome. I love that.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
And what you had to say was powerful. You were talking about how you connected with that episode I did recently where I shared my struggles. I did an episode where I just talked about what had been going on in my life recently and some of the deep struggles that I was struggling with, the deep things I was dealing with. And you could relate, Bethany, and it's like when the self-doubt kicks in, when you aren't feeling inspired, when you don't feel like you have confidence and self-esteem, it just can create this downward spiral. And if you don't catch it soon enough, you can really get sucked in. And that's what happened to me. And so, I know you could relate a little bit to that, Bethany. So I appreciate your vulnerability and sharing that with me, and by doing that, by sharing it with all of us, that, you were feeling those struggles as well in your own life and in your own way. And what's so beautiful about you sharing that is just demonstrates that we are all connected. We are all connected. Like I may not have gone through the exact thing that you've gone through, Bethany, but I can connect with doubting yourself. Yeah, I can connect with feeling uninspired, with feeling like your life is bland. I can connect with that. And so in that, I understand what you're going through. I can empathize, and I can share with you what has worked for me to pull me out of that space. And you can use some of those things in your life as well. So I shot you a voice note back on Instagram, so I know you've got that in your inbox. You can listen to my feedback and response to you there. And thank you, Bethany, for, again, reaching out. And I love giving this long-winded listener love shout-out because I know everybody gets something from it as well. So if you want to be like Bethany and connect with me and get into a cool conversation, jump over to Instagram. That's the place where it's happening. Yeah, Instagram. I'm over there, Matthew_Bivens. And if you want to keep it old school or classic, you can hit me up on my email, mattcbivens@gmail.com. And I would just love to connect. I genuinely would. This podcast is really about connection and service and sharing and, paying it all forward. All of the deposits that my coach and my community and myself and all those things that were handed to me and taught to me and shown to me, my goal has just been to share them all with you all in this podcast and through this podcast. So, I love when we can connect and just keep all the magic rolling. Yes, yes, yes. All right, one last thing before we jump into the episode. I got a super, super cool announcement. I'm like jumping in my chair right now. I'm so excited. I have created a t-shirt shop. Yes, I got some t-shirts now. So I'm having it all swag. And the very first t-shirt is up for sale. It is the Abundant Loving Life shirt. It is so freaking cool. It's a real simple, awesome design. I've got a bunch of different cuts. I got men's shirts, women's shirts, tank tops, V-necks, classic shirts, a bunch of different colors, and it's all available for purchase right now. And this episode is dropping in early November, so it's perfect time for the holidays. These shirts, the way that it works is once a bunch of people buy them, the shirts are then printed and then they're shipped out. So this first batch of shirts for the Abundant Loving Life shirt, it will arrive in time for the holidays if you want to give it as a gift. So it's super, super cool. It's super simple. And go check it out. You can go to MatthewBivens.com/store. And on that page, you'll see the t-shirts right there. You can click on them and pick the one that works for you. And Sarah and I have some. They're awesome quality shirts. I mean, they feel great. They fit great. I'm just super, super thrilled. I've wanted some swag for a minute, and I finally did it. So this is the first of many t-shirts and other pieces of swag because there's some cool stuff that I've got in store as well. So go and check it out. Go check it out. I think you're going to really, really like these. Again, you can go to MatthewBivens.com/store and you can find them there. You can also, if you're on Instagram, maybe you're on your mobile phone right now, just go to my Instagram profile and there's a link right there. So click on the link and you'll see a link to the t-shirt shop. So go check them out. Super, super excited. I don't know if you could tell. If you could see me right now, I'm just like, I'm bouncing. I'm dancing over here because this is some cool stuff. Okay, let's talk about consistency. Like, what do you do if you struggle with consistency? I'll tell you, I have been there. I think like, I don't know. There's so many different goals and so many different things that I've attempted in my life where consistency played a huge factor in me not achieving it or me stopping. And it's tough, right? Like, one of the things that happens is you set your sights on something, New Year's resolution, financial goal, academic goal, whatever, and you get excited. You're amped, and you're right there in the beginning, and you're going, and you might go for several days, maybe you even go for a couple weeks, and then you forget, or then you miss a day. And as soon as we fall off, we start to tell ourselves the story and the lie that we're never consistent. You always quit. You always forget. You always stop. And that can just start the shame cycle and the butt kicking of ourselves, all of that stuff. And that just perpetuates the struggle of consistency. You know what I mean? And, here's the thing. Consistency is incredibly important. Not going to lie. Like, it's the difference many times between achieving a goal, right? Achieving the thing that you want to achieve, creating the thing you want to create, manifesting whatever it is you want to manifest, and feeling like a failure. Honestly. Because listen, I don't believe in failing. I kind of have that like I love what Edison says about failure, right? He's like, I didn't create one way to find a light bulb. I found 10,000 ways that didn't work. I butchered that quote, but you know what I'm saying. You've heard it before. It's like when I fail at something, I recognize that it's a stepping stone to get me ultimately where I want to go. But the feeling like a failure, that definitely kicks in, especially when consistency or lack of consistency was in the mix. And so, the thing is, like, most folks just aren't consistent at stuff. Start and stop, get frustrated, and then stay frustrated because life isn't changing in a significant way. And so the question becomes, if consistency really is the key, if consistency is so important to achieving your goals and really living the life you want to live, then what do you do to get better at it? And hey, you wouldn't be here if you didn't want to answer that question. So there's a couple of things you can do, and I'm going to list them off right now. Oh, before I go further, I'm going to let you know that there's a video that goes along with this podcast episode. If you remember in my last episode, I mentioned that I'm now doing videos that complement my podcast. So there's a video that's going to go along with one of the things I'm going to share with you in a minute. So stay tuned for that, because if this is a big challenge for you, a big struggle, then I really want to give you a lot of stuff that's going to help you to work on this challenge with consistency. Okay, so here is my advice. If you struggle at consistency, here's my advice to you. First of all, you've got to have a big why. You have to have a big why, a bigger reason why you're doing the thing that you're wanting to do. And that reason has to be bigger than all the crap you're going to face. It has to be bigger than all of the doubts you're going to have. It's got to be bigger than your emotions and the circumstances that you are going to face on the pathway to achieving your goal. All right? That's the first thing. You've got to have that big why. It's got to be big. And you need to be clear on it. Be really, really clear on what your why is. And you got to think about it often. You have to bring it top of mind often. So here's an example, right? Let's say that health is something you're playing for. Maybe every year a New Year's resolution has something to do with health or fitness or whatever. A big why could be something like, you know what, in 20 years, I want to be able to play basketball with my kids, and I want to be able to hang with them. You know what I mean? Like, when my kid is 20 and I'm 50 years old, I want to be able to beat them in basketball, as opposed to be feeling, frail and have pain all over my body, right? So your big why might be that when you're 50 years old, you can play sports with your kids. Okay? That's a big why. Rather than saying, my big why for my health is to have a six-pack. That why is not going to be big enough. It just won't. You're going to hit something that's going to be bigger, like some feeling or some pack of beer or some, like vacation binge eating cruise experience that's going to be a lot bigger than that why, and you just won't stick with it. So another example of a big why is like to be able to buy your very first home in the next 5 years. That's a big why for people. Like, listen, 5 years down the road, I can really see ourselves in this type of home. If we start and continue our savings the way we've been doing it, we're going to be able to get in that home. So let's buckle down. That right there, that type of thing can change a lot of people's lives, and has. A lot of people have created some really amazing things by connecting with a why like that. So you've got to have some big why, and it has to be big enough that it's going to help you to power through when the stuff hits the fan, when your emotions kick in, when all that junk. That's why your why has to be big. The second thing to do if you're struggling with consistency is you have to actually be proactive and make time to do the thing that you need to do. You gotta make time to get the thing done. You cannot wait until you just have the time, because you won't. You won't have the time. If there is empty time on your schedule, it's going to be filled by something. If you don't have something written in that block, something's going to fill it. Okay? So for example, let's go back to our health example. If wanting to get healthy and fit is the thing that you're playing for, that you've struggled with being consistent with your health routine, then on your calendar, you need to have that time blocked off. You have to have that time blocked off. You cannot just leave it up to, well, I'll do it when I feel like it. Or, I know that I'm going to do it at 6 p.m. It's not on my calendar, but I know I'm going to do it at 6 p.m. You can't do that, because guess what? 6 p.m. rolls around and something else is going to jump in and take that time. This is part of scheduling those things that are important, scheduling your priorities. You have to do that. You have to schedule those things that are important and really, really make the time. Otherwise, you can almost guarantee that you're going to fall off in your consistency. And one of the things that you're doing is when you aren't scheduling it, when you aren't putting it on your calendar and making the time, you're just telling yourself subconsciously that it's not that important. Because the things that are important, they are making it onto your calendar. They are making it onto your to-do list. You are making the time for the things that you deem important. So if you aren't actually putting it on your calendar, then you're just telling yourself you're not making it important. Then of course you're not going to be consistent. So schedule that junk, make the time to get it done, and get it done.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
All right, number three. The third thing that you can do to help if you're struggling with consistency is to have people in your corner who are holding you accountable. Yeah, a lot of times consistency falls apart because there's no accountability. You can't just be accountable to yourself. You're the problem. You're the reason why you aren't being consistent. So yeah, you can't just be accountable to yourself. If you start enrolling other people, now you've got a better shot at staying consistent. So who are these people? You could have a coach. That's what I did. I went out and hired a coach. I hired a coach for fitness reasons. I hired a coach for my life coach. I've hired financial coaches. All of them hold me accountable with being consistent. And that's what I do in my coaching. A big part of what I do is holding folks accountable, creating space and holding you accountable in that space to show up the way that you want to show up, to be the person you want to be, to do the things you say you want to do. It's a big part of my role as a coach is the accountability. But you can also do something like a mastermind group. I sit in mastermind groups. I'm in one right now. We meet twice a week. Part of that is accountability. We set these goals and we say, okay, and one meeting we'll set a goal, and the next meeting we report on them. Did you complete it? Yes or no? That's accountability right there. And it's group accountability. I don't want to show up and say, no, I didn't complete my goal. So I'll bust my butt. Even if it's 5 minutes before the call, I'll bust my butt to make sure that I get my goal done. Mastermind groups are great for that. Or you could just go with an accountability partner. Enroll one other person. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's your spouse. Although sometimes that just doesn't work and you got to get somebody who you aren't that close with. But maybe it's a friend, or I've had accountability partners that I never knew before. We were paired up through a coaching program or through a business course, right? Like go on Facebook, jump into different types of groups and pair people up, grab a person. So you just need one person to help hold you accountable. And that's really the point of this. The third thing is really about having another person to hold you accountable. Okay, the fourth and final thing I want to share if you struggle with consistency is you have to develop this attitude that you're going to do it even if you don't feel like it. And you're sitting there thinking, duh. Well, if that was the case, then I wouldn't be here. Yeah, but guess what? That is the big reason why you're here listening to this podcast. Because when you don't feel like it, you stop and you do something else. You've got to develop the character of a person who does hard things. Even if they're hard, even if they're sucky, even if they're uncomfortable, even when you don't want to. You got to do them. I am reminded of Mel Robbins at this point. She's an author, TV host now. I think she would consider herself a motivational speaker. I don't know. But this is her domain, personal development and hitting your goals and just being a tremendous person. Like that's the area that she operates in. And one of the things that she says is around this idea of doing things when you don't feel like it. She says that this is really the only way to get what you want in life, is to do the things that you need to do when you don't feel like it. And one of the cool things that I remember hearing her say was that the areas that you're happy in, the areas that you're feeling content in life, the reason you're feeling happy and content is because you're doing the work. The areas that you are not feeling happy in, the areas that you are complaining in, those areas aren't flowing the way you want them to flow because you aren't doing the work. And you aren't doing the work because you don't feel like it. So if you want all that to change, you have to start developing the habits. It's really taking action, developing habits, and forming the character of a person that does something even when they don't feel like it. Now, this is where my bonus video comes in, because I have recorded a video for you that's all about getting better at doing the things that you know you need to do, even when you really, really don't want to do them. So go check it out. You can go to MatthewBivens.com/blog and you can find this episode, right? Find this episode, what to do if you struggle with consistency. And on the episode page, you'll see a link to the video. So that's where you can find the bonus video all about me giving you some tips, some of the things that can really help you to develop what is called grit. That's what it is. It's developing grit that helps you to get better at doing the things that need to get done even when you really, really don't want to. So go check that out. I go a little bit deeper into all this stuff on that video, and that's where I'm going to leave that. So let's do a quick recap on all the 4 different points. The first point is that, you know what, you got to have a big why. You got to have a big why, and that why has to be bigger than the adversity you're going to face. That's point number 1. Point number 2, you have to be proactive and schedule the thing on your calendar. You have to make time to do the thing, whether it's reading the books or going to the gym or eating the food, whatever it is that you're wanting to do where you aren't being consistent, you have to make the time to do it. Point number 3, get some folks in your corner that are going to hold you accountable. It is so important that you have somebody outside of yourself, outside of your spouse or your partner, that are going to hold you accountable to doing what you say you're going to do. That can be the difference maker. It can absolutely be a difference maker. And point number 4, you have to develop the character of a person who does things even when they don't want to. This is all about just not listening to your emotions, not listening to that little voice in your head that says, oh, you should just sleep in. It's cold and dark out. Oh, no, it's okay. I know you said you're going to stick to this eating routine, but it's okay. Just this one time. You have to learn that voice is not going to help you in the long run. And you have to be able to quiet that voice, push it aside, and do it anyway. And the way that you do that is you connect with your big why. Go back to point number 1. Connect with that big why. And that big why, you're like, you know what? I am playing to be healthy and fit at 50 so that I can take my kid to the hoop at some basketball. Like, that's something that I'm playing for, right? And I know it's going to happen. Like, I'm playing for that. And so that's bigger than any little thing that my ego wants to tell me I should do right now. It's like, no, I am going to get my butt up and go to the gym this morning. No, I am going to jump on that treadmill. And at the end of my run, I'm going to crank it up and do this freaking hard run on my balance chart because it's hard. I'm going to do that because I know that that's going to be a huge deposit within myself, within my health. That's helping me to form grit. That's helping me to continue to have the character of somebody that does hard stuff. Even when I don't want to, I'm going to do hard stuff anyway. And I know that is going to help me when it comes to setting and accomplishing all sorts of goals in my life. Health goals, financial goals, whatever it is, they're going to help me. That character trait of having grit and perseverance in the face of adversity is going to help me out. And all of that is tied up in, or it contributes to you being consistent. Because again, think back to what happens in your life when you aren't consistent. What has happened in the moment when you drop off? It's probably because maybe you forgot. All right. And if you forgot, that means you aren't making a priority. We've addressed that, right? Being proactive, making sure it gets done, putting it on your schedule. Or perhaps you just don't really want to. You just, I just don't really want to. We've addressed that, coming up with that big why, that big burning why that's bigger than the I don't want to. And you can also just develop that character of I'm going to do hard stuff anyway. Or maybe you just had a really hard time motivating yourself and you might have a why, but it doesn't feel that big. And you know what? Whatever. If you have people in your corner that you're going to report to, then that can be the difference maker. That can help you be consistent when all the other things fail. So you see, these 4 points really help address all the stuff that comes up at that moment when you don't want to be consistent, or the moment when you realize, oh crap, I wasn't consistent. Because remember, we also have to have compassion and recognize that if you have a goal of meditating for 30 days and you miss a day, you know what? Don't beat yourself up for the next 6 months. That's what we do. We'll set some sort of goal, and the moment that we fall off, we start to kick our own butts. See, I knew you couldn't do it. You're never able to be consistent. You always drop off. You always fail. And then instead of getting back on and just continuing, it's like, crap, I fell off on my meditation goal on day 3. All right, I'm going to get back and I'm going to do it on day 4. I'm going to do 2 on day 4 to make up for the one I missed on day 3. Instead of doing that, we just beat the crap out of ourselves some more. That makes no sense. That will definitely kill any and all consistency. That will totally kill any and all momentum. And then you're back at square one. Seeing this podcast title and saying, oh, maybe this can help me. So let's not let that be the case, everybody. Let's start being consistent. Let's start, exercising these tips that I've shared so that we can all be more consistent on those things that are important to us, those things that we say are important to us. Because at the end of the day, what happens when you're consistent? Well, you achieve your goal, right? You feel great about yourself because you were consistent. Your confidence goes up. You begin to trust yourself more, that when you say you're going to do something, you'll actually follow through all the way to the end. So you start taking some bigger risks in life. You start looking a little bit broader in terms of opportunities and what's possible. All sorts of magical things happen when you are more consistent. And so it's worth it to put into place some of the things that I shared. It's so worth it. Because like Mel Robbins says, you can have everything you want in life. And the way to do that is by showing up even when you don't want to, by being consistent even when it's not convenient. You can have it all. That's what she's saying. You can have it all. You can choose to have it all. And so my hope is that after this conversation, you've got a couple of things to try out. I know you've got at least 4. You got at least 4 things right now that you can try and put into place if you've really, really been struggling with consistency. And I invite you to go and check out the bonus video as well, because I'm going to talk to you about how you can develop grit, how you can get better at doing things even when you really don't want to. So go check that out. There's going to be a link to that video in the show notes. So if you're on like Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or whatever, listening to this episode, then you can scroll, look at the description for this episode and the notes, and you'll see a link in there. You can also go to my website, click on the blog, and you'll see this post, and boom, right there, you'll have the link to the video. Or go to YouTube and just type in my name, and you'll see the video there. Bottom line, go check out the video. I want to just help you really, really overcome this struggle with consistency, because I have been there, and it is a mother is like, man, what really is the kicker with this is in those moments when you, it's like, okay, I go back to the example of 30 days of meditation. When you break, like on day 3, when you break the chain, it's in those moments that I personally have had the biggest struggle, because that's when all of these self-deprecating thoughts flood in. All the stuff that's like, see, I knew you couldn't do it. And that right there tells me, whenever I've had that thought, because I've totally have had it, whenever I've had that thought, it just tells me that a part of me was holding the space of failure within me, right? Like the part of me was holding that space that I wasn't going to stick to my goal. And that tells me, man, okay, my trust in myself is low. And so it's so important if we aren't super consistent and we miss a day, it's so important that we do not hold those thoughts for too long. We do not pay attention to that voice that says, see, I knew you couldn't do it. We do not entertain that crap. It's so important that instead we just get right back into it. Get right back into it. Do something empowering. Go do something that is a deposit into yourself. Do something to shift the momentum. We have to do that. Otherwise, we're going to get stuck back into that awful quagmire of self-doubt and criticism and comparing ourselves to others and all of the stuff that creates such funk that makes our abundant, loving life seem so far away and so unattainable. So it's in that moment when you do experience your struggle that you just have to remember, okay, hey, I'm human. This happens. I didn't hit it today. I'm going to get back at it. I'm going to get back at it. That's what you got to be doing. So I'm complete with this conversation on consistency, and I would love to hear from you. I would love for you to share your struggles and your triumphs with consistency. Please share them with me. I can hold that space for you. I can help give you some feedback. Whatever it is, I would love to just engage with you on that. So once again, hit me up on Instagram, Matthew_Bivens. Hit me up on my email, mattcbivens@gmail.com, or go to my website, matthewbivens.com, fill out the contact form. Let me know your struggles and triumphs when it comes to consistency, and I look forward to you having some breakthroughs. Yeah, I look forward to you really expanding yourself when it comes to what you believe you're able to achieve and how consistent you believe you're able to be. That's the space that I'm holding for you now that we've had this awesome conversation. So thank you all for joining me. I am so grateful. I'm so appreciative. My name is Matthew Bivens, and here is to you having it all. Quick note about the Having It All podcast. I am not a doctor nor a licensed therapist. I'm a guy with a story and a passion for conscious conversation. My thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are my own. So please consult with your doctor or healthcare provider regarding any questions or issues you have related to your personal, physical, or mental health.